Wow, this guy really cares about inciting violence. Oh, wow, this guy really wants to tone down the rhetoric. Wow, this guy's like... Wow, what a chill guy. This is an account that is reported by his teachers. His teachers said he was like LARPing his Hitler Youth. The allegation you're making is so obvious. Just own it. Just own it. Why are you being such a fucking pussy?
Just this morning, I was in the car here. There's someone on Twitter who said that a sniper rifle could stop Nigel Farage and was probably the only thing that could.
Farage hates his country. Farage will undermine his country for personal gain. Farage is fine for people, his own countrymen, to die if it means he gets his way politically. So let's have a look at some of this reform stuff. And then maybe we'll do some error-like content. I don't know. Where do we start? Let's catch everyone up. So this is so guys, yes, everyone is saying that Keir Starmer is a terrorist, okay? Keir Starmer is now a radical left terrorist because everyone's turned retarded in the last 2 weeks. Extra retarded, sorry. And let's find out why. I think this clip should have the important parts.
And conference. Or take our investment in childcare. 30 hours free for every child between 9 months and 4 years. A massive difference.
Where he says, sort of soul of the nation.
That's National Renewal Conference. Government and working people working together to drag us out of decline. Building a new Britain. Now, it's an urgent task. We can all see that the country faces a choice. A defining choice.
Yeah, we should find the end.
Britain stands at a fork in the road. We can choose decency, or we can choose division. Renewal or decline. A country proud of its values, in control of... So let us spell it out once and for all. Controlling migration is a reasonable goal. But if you throw bricks and smash up private property, that's not legitimate. That is thuggery. Thank you, conference. Free speech. Free speech.
Yeah, it's fight like hell crying,
and we have guarded it for centuries. But if you incite racist violence and hatred, that is not expressing concern, it's criminal. And this party, this great party, is proud of our flags. Yet if they're painted alongside graffiti, telling a Chinese takeaway owner to go home, that's not pride, that's racism. And conference. If you say or imply that people cannot be English or British because of the colour of their skin, that mixed heritage families owe you an explanation, the people who've lived here for generations, raised their children here, built their lives here, working in our schools, our hospitals, running businesses, are our neighbours. If you say they should now be deported, then mark my words, we will fight you with everything we have, because you are the enemy of national renewal.
So this is what they're mad about. This is what everyone's mad about.
And it will be a fight conference. It doesn't get easier from here. And the tough decisions, they will keep on coming. Look, we inherited public finances where the Tories piled up mountains of debt with next to no boost in productivity to show for it. Unprecedented. And in a world as volatile as ours, that's dangerous. It demands firm and fair decisions.
So, yeah, we'll wrap up there. So that's the context. That's the context. That's what people are mad about. So with that in mind, this Zia Yusuf, I actually don't know what position he has in fucking reform at this point. Head of policy. Head of policy. Zia Yusuf is a reform guy. Head of policy, apparently. And he went on Sky News earlier. I saw this morning to talk about that speech, talk about what Keir had to say. So let's see, what does Zia Yusuf think of that speech?
Let's pivot back to the top story of the day. And the Prime Minister has said he doesn't think Reform UK or their supporters are racist, but that their immigration policy is. Joining me is the head of policy at Reform UK, Zia Yusuf. Very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us once again this week.
Good morning.
What did you make of
a very
the Prime
English
Minister's speech
heritage going on here?
Well, firstly, to that point, I think people watching this can draw their own conclusions. If somebody supports what, according to the Prime Minister's racist policy, by definition, they are racist. That's how he is calling our voters racist. I think what we have seen, though, over the last 48 hours is the most extraordinary, vindictive, vicious use of inflammatory
By the way,
language to demonize,
context for this guy, he has stepped down and left Reform before. He said he stepped down and left Reform. He said he didn't think getting Reform elected was a worthwhile use of his time. Getting Farage elected was a worthwhile use of his time. And he cited part of the reason why was the unrelenting torrent of racial abuse from Reform supporters. That's part of why now he's back. So I guess he just, water under the bridge. Or that maybe it's changed a whole bunch. Maybe it's like totally changed. I guess.
Nigel Farage, the man who Keir Starmer knows now he cannot beat at the ballot box, so has embarked on a campaign with his cabinet to incite violence against him. Keir Starmer is circling the drain.
So
he knows that he can't beat Nigel at the...
Keir Starmer is inciting violence against Nigel Farage. It is just like pure, like trying to latch on to the Charlie Kirk hysteria. It's like so cynical and so lame. And it runs in total contravention to like Farage's entire fucking history. Like, where's, here it is.
Widespread, if this is not delivered, there will be widespread public anger in this country on a scale and in a way that we have never seen before.
Oh yeah, Nige?
If that happens, much as I'm enjoying myself, I love doing the LBC talk show 4 nights a week. I love doing it. Those of you really engaged, it's a great fun thing to do. I enjoy my trips to the States with Trump in the White House and everything else. I've been enjoying my life. But if they don't deliver this Brexit that I spent 25 years of my life working for, then I will be forced to don khaki, pick up a rifle, and head for the front lines.
Wow. Wow, this guy really cares about inciting violence. Oh, wow, this guy really wants to tone down the rhetoric. Wow, this guy's like... Wow, what a chill guy. By the way, literally, just on that note, briefly, I see shit like this being said. Calling the small boats Farage boats is true idiocy. Labour think you're all idiots. It's totally legit to call them Farage boats. Like he just said, he spent 25 years of his life working for Brexit. There he is, campaigning for Brexit. And what's this? What's this small boats crossings? What happened around 2019, 2020? What happened around here? What is that when the Brexit deal got legislated? Is that potentially when the Brexit deal got legislated and it made it so we couldn't instantly decline any asylum claims from an asylum seeker that has already been declined by another EU member state, causing us to have an insane backlog and increased arrivals for small boats due to the incentive of being able to reapply in another state for asylum. Okay.
The ballot box. A Survation poll this week showed the majority of his own members want him replaced. There was another poll that said that he was literally the most unpopular Prime Minister.
Yeah,
on
I believe,
I
think that was still counted under irregular
racist.
arrivals, right, Pathos? I think irregular arrivals have gone up as a whole.
He called our supporters race. We had 11 cabinet ministers on pretty much the same day, used that exact language. The Deputy Prime Minister, in an extraordinary intervention, I've not seen anything like this in my lifetime in politics in this country. He said that Nigel flirted with Nazism, flirted with the Hitler Youth. And then you had the Home Secretary on the same day said that Nigel is, quote, worse than racist. And
people have been going at David Lammy because he said Nigel Farage flirted with Hitler Youth. Which sounds insane when you first hear it. Nigel Farage flirted with Hitler Youth. The Hitler Youth wasn't around when Nigel Farage was alive. Until you look into it a little bit. Until you look up Nigel Farage, Hitler Youth. and you find this letter written by a teacher at his private school. Dear Master, I am happy to say that I am not acquainted with N.P. Farage of something, because judging from the reports I have received, he is not someone with whom I would wish to be acquainted, because I am, therefore, because I am, therefore, able to write on the ground of no personal prejudice, but on the concerning principle. You'll recall that at the recent and lengthy meeting about the selection of prefects, the remark by a colleague that Farage was a fascist, but that was no reason why he would not make a good prefect, invoked considerable reaction from members of the common room. Another colleague, who teaches the boy, described his publicly professed racist and neo-fascist views, and he cited a particular incident in which Farage was so offensive to a boy in his set, he had to be removed from the lesson. This master stated his view that the behaviour was precisely why the boy should not be made a prefect. Yet another colleague described how, at a CCF camp organised by the college, Farage and others had marched through a quiet Sussex village very late at night, shouting Hitler Youth songs. So, David Lammy has sort of soft retracted this claim. People are going around saying David Lammy lied. No, this is an account that is reported by his teachers. His teachers said he was like LARPing as Hitler Youth. They said he was like an open racist, a neo-fascist, who marched around singing Hitler Youth songs. Patriot, by the way. Patriot, by the way. And this isn't like, this is, you know, some woke bullshit. This is 1981, this letter was written in. 1981. Farage would have been 17, 16. He'd been like a 16-year-old, 1981. Private school. Talking crazy about Jews and Hitler and all this shit. You'll appreciate that I regard this as a very serious matter. I've often heard you tell our senior boys that they are the nation's future leaders. It is our collective responsibility to ensure these leaders are enlightened and compassionate. As you know, the national and educational press has recently given much prominence to the growing concern at the expectation of school pupils by extremists of all kinds. A school of the stature and high reputation of Dulwich College, which openly condemned the recent troubles in Brixton and offered its facilities freely to the forces of law and order, ought not to be seen inside or outside its confines to be giving endorsement expressly or by implication to budding extremists of the opposite kind. A school which is proud of its selectiveness, conservatism, and discipline ought not to allow these characteristics to degenerate into intolerance, political extremism, or bullying of the nastiest kind in its pupils. The matter of the appointment of Farage as a prefect may be thought by some to be minuscule against these deep considerations. It is not so. I am by disposition tolerant and in politics moderate, but as a member of the common room I find it distasteful that a boy such as Farage should have bestowed upon him the prestige of office and authority. Were I a parent or a pupil, I would find it profoundly so. In view, I am aware of the wide concern within the college about this matter. I'm sending a copy of this letter to the chairman of the common room. So that's... So that's where this comes from. So it's not just a bunch of bullshit. It's not just made up. David Lammy didn't just make it up. It's absolutely based in credible claims.
And the Prime Minister also used in his speech, he used language, he said, we need to, quote, go into battle. He called on his supporters to go into battle with, quote, the enemy, and said that Nigel and Reform represent a threat to everyone in this country. And using that language, he knows exactly what he's doing. And I want to share one last thing, very important information.
Wait, so you can't say things that are true now? Wait, so you just can't say things that are true? Really? Huh?
About sharing. But I do think it's important that people know and the British public know. It was just 2 weeks ago that the authorities cut the size of Nigel's security by 75%. And it was, of course, 2 weeks ago, as people know.
So, dude, this one, I don't know what the reasoning for this is, but they're saying, dude, I saw literally Richard Tice, fucking Zia Yusuf, and I think another Reform guy, use the exact same wording. They all use the exact same line. I thought long and hard about sharing this, but you know, I'm very close friends with Nigel, and I'm very concerned about his safety because just a few weeks ago, they actually cut his security detail by 75%. They all say it the exact same way. Like, it's the exact same wording. It's so robotic.
That we had the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, the most high-profile political assassination in recent memory.
The Kirkism.
The Prime Minister knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he cannot beat Nigel at the ballot box.
Actually,
We've seen the most extraordinary campaign over 48 hours to demonise Nigel, and he is absolutely inciting violence against him.
Well, there's a lot to get there. There's news to me about the cut in security, so I wasn't able to put that to the government when I spoke to them this morning. And to clarify, explicitly in his interview with Beth, the Prime Minister did say, whatever you might think it means, he did say he doesn't think your supporters are racist. I think the thing I'm going to pick up on actually is what you said at the end. And language is very important. And I think this week, more than ever, we're all focused on how important language is. Yeah, it is. Inflammatory might be a legitimate word, but inciting violence, which is, you said a few times and you concluded with that thought, is encouraging others to commit an unlawful
Guys, there's going to be something very funny
here. He did not do that.
So in security circles, there's a concept called stochastic terrorism. This is...
Look how they have to try and spin stochastic terrorism. In security circles, there's a term called stochastic terrorism. Bro, this is like a lefty term. This is like lefty, gay, retard stuff. The idea that they're trying to spin it is like, oh, it's a very serious security term, stochastic terrorism. You see, when Keir Starmer says we're the enemy, that means someone's going to kill me. It's crazy. And this will probably work on, like, the low IQ, like, you know, Bazes. The Bazes and Gazes, you know. It's gonna work on these fucking troglodytes. Just say, oh, yeah, there's actually a term in security circles. There's a term in security circles. No, dude, it's a gay fucking lefty term. It's what you've been doing for years. Nigel Farage saying he'll pick up a rifle if Brexit isn't delivered. Sorry, also, just on that as well. Daily Mail obviously immediately ran with this line as well, saying, the day Labour dragged politics into the gutter. Daily Mail saying this, by the way. The Daily Mail saying this, that Starmer has just dragged politics into the gutter. This is one of their covers from Brexit. This one of the covers from Brexit. Calling a set of judges the enemies of the people. And they're saying, this is too incendiary, though. This is too incendiary, and you're dragging it into the gutter. And then just a collection here of their covers about migrants. Collection of covers about migrants. We've got housing benefit ban on jobless migrants. Migration soars. Good, says Cable. Dying to get into Britain. Don't ask migrants how long they're staying. Cheat your way to a passport. 208,000 passports handed to migrants in 1 year. Migrants handed £5 billion in tax credits. Kelly in crisis over UK-bound migrants. More foreign convicts win right to stay. Open borders, a new fiasco. Calais is besieged by gangs of migrants. Why was he ever allowed into the UK? You can't ignore migration now. Migrants really are swamping parts of the UK. Immigration, what a mess. Teachers battle to cope with influx of migrants. There are too many migrants. Migrants at last PM acts. Is there no one left in Britain who can make a sandwich? Now we're importing brickies on £1,000 per week. 4 in 5 nurses on NHS wards are foreign. And you're supposed to take them seriously when they cry about the rhetoric being too intense. You're supposed to take them seriously. It's just like absurd.
Well understood in security circles. I appreciate it's a bit of a technical, arcane term, so I'll try and explain it very briefly. It is where somebody uses a big megaphone to launch a very public demonisation campaign using inflammatory language in pursuit of encouraging a random act of violence against the target. The fact that, and this is not one, errant comment at a fringe event at a conference, not even 2 errant comments. It is the Prime Minister with the biggest megaphone in the country across every major broadcaster, including this one, using the most inflammatory language possible, and then 11 of his cabinet members coming out and one-upping him on that. I will tell you this, as someone who's a friend of Nigel's, and I thought long and hard about whether I should share that information about Nigel's security. And I want to be clear that donors have stepped in to ensure, thankfully, that Nigel is well protected, and so, Reform supports. And frankly, any right-thinking people in this country who think politics should be debated around the actual policies, we should be talking about issues and not using this kind of inflammatory, directly insightful language. I have stood next to Nigel as he's been attacked by masked lunatics from Antifa.
Dude.
I've seen them try to attack Nigel. I've seen them try to attack our supporters, our volunteers, our activists. That's why we're so
He had a milkshake thrown at him. You don't understand. He had a milkshake thrown at him.
appalled by this behaviour. The Prime Minister, who's supposed to be a human rights lawyer, should know far better than this. He knows he can't beat Nigel
Someone
at
poured
the
a beer
ballot
on
box,
him.
so he's resorted to inflammatory vilification to incite violence against him.
Well, I mean, look, I can't speak for the government. I think on the point that he's saying you just said that he's intentionally trying to incite violence. I'm sure that they would say loud and clear, in fact, they have already, that that's not the case.
Well, if that's the case, he should come out and apologise for using that inflammatory language.
Well,
even when David
Lammy
accused Nigel of flirting with Nazism, he still couldn't bring it upon himself to actually apologise.
Why would he apologise? Why would he apologise? He made a statement based on credible accusations that have been made against Nigel Farage by his school teachers. Yeah, that's totally reasonable to do. He shouldn't have retracted it, frankly. He didn't even quite retract it. He sort of said, no, well, Nigel Farage has denied those claims, and that's okay. That's what he said. But he shouldn't have even said that, really. He should have said, I said what I said. Just own it. Just fucking own it. They lie about literally everything. They literally lie about fucking everything. So you're saying that David Lammy can't make a statement that's like, it's not 100% proven, but there's credible claims dating back like 40 years. But they can just like lie with impunity? Like, come on. David Lammy gets to say he flirted with the Hitler Youth. He did. He kind of did.
Clear conversation with Pat McFadden about the David Lammy comments. Every single other comment has been about a policy. And there is
with
no
respect,
intention.
with respect, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary...
They are just so Americanized. That is literally like it's just the American party in the UK. That's all Reform is at this point. So yeah, if you want to be like totally cucked to America, if you want to be like America's bitch, then reform your guys. If you want to be America and Israel's bitch, then reform your guys.
He said that Nigel was worse than a racist. So with respect, I need to correct you on that. You just said every other comment has been about the policy. The Home Secretary, no less, said that Nigel is, quote, worse than a racist.
The government obviously would say
that was
their
awesome.
intention
That's
here
true.
is to beat
That's
Nigel
facts.
Farage at the ballot box. They're focusing on a policy that they argue is racist. And we're going to get to that policy after this final question on this, because I think it's important, even though we spoke about it on Monday.
Yeah, worse than racist does go
You concluded
hard.
that last answer by saying he was intentionally inciting violence. Are you saying that, I've held the former science minister, Peter Kyle, to account when he tried to liken Nigel Farage to Jimmy Savile. It was a massive leap. Are you really coming on here to say you think the Prime Minister wants harm to come to Nigel Farage? Because language is important.
Nigel, well, let me be clear.
That's what how your last answer concluded that.
So,
do you retract that, or do you stand by it?
Nigel is a close friend of mine. I think
Yeah, kind of, Samson. They are incredibly nitpicky with Labour.
he's the future Prime Minister of this country. He's the bookmaker's favourite to be the next Prime Minister in this country, and he's well ahead in the polls. So the stakes are too high for me to mince my words. I think Keir Starmer knows that he cannot beat Nigel Farage.
But you won't answer. This guy is looking for a yes or no. He's looking for a yes or no. Are you saying that Keir Starmer wishes harm on Nigel Farage? Are you saying that he wants Nigel Farage to get hurt or killed? Is that what you're saying, yes or no? Is he going to do it? Is he going to do it?
Reform at the ballot box. And yes, I think that he has decided to embark on a campaign that is clearly, he knows, insightful of violence against him.
I think that sounds like an enormous leap to most people, but you didn't answer my question. Are you saying you think the Prime Minister wishes harm on Nigel Farage?
I think that he has embarked on a campaign of language specifically...
Please answer the question. Do you think the Prime Minister wishes harm on Nigel Farage? This is really important to clarify.
I think that he knows that he cannot beat him at the ballot box, so has decided to use this inflammatory language, along with his cabinet, to incite violence against him.
So you're saying he wishes harm on Nigel Farage, is what you're saying?
You need to ask Keir Starmer that, but I think if you look at the language, and again, I want to put this to you. I want to put this to you. You just said
how
that this is
shameful.
not.
How shameful. The allegation you're making is so obvious. Just own it. Just own it. Why are you being such a fucking pussy? It's very clear. You're saying he's knowingly engaging on this course of action with the results in mind. So just say, yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes. Yes, I am saying that Keir wishes harm on Nigel Farage. Just say yes.
Not a single errant comment. This is the government of the United Kingdom talking about a man who is the bookmaker's favourite to be the next prime minister.
It's an
and
enormous leap.
You just said it is.
I'm sorry, Zia, it's an enormous. It's an enormous leap.
If I suggest you go and look up what stochastic terrorism is, and if you use language like battle, encourage your supporters to, quote, go into battle with, quote, an enemy that is a threat to our way of life in this country. You say that he flirted with Nazism, and 11 cabinet members come out and call him racist in the context of all of the threats that I see, sadly, almost every day against Nigel. Just this morning, I was in the car here, there's someone on Twitter who said that a sniper rifle could stop Nigel Farage, and was probably the only thing that could. David Bull has just pushed that tweet out. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, there's a tweet. There was a tweet saying someone should snipe Nigel Farage. Dude, what? Yeah, there's tweets saying you should snipe everyone. How many thousands of tweets have there been by Reform supporters? Hundreds of thousands of tweets do you think there have been by Reform supporters saying, you know, sink the boats, shoot any migrant that comes. Keir Starmer needs to be... You know, like how many hundreds of thousands of tweets do you think Reform supporters have made? Some of the most violent, degenerate, wretched people in the country. And you think they're out there saying shit 500 times worse than that all day, every day? One of your top stars at your conference, Lucy Connolly, is literally there because you're celebrating the fact that she got put in prison for a tweet where she was saying burn down migrant hotels. That's literally the top fucking star at your fucking conference that you wheel out every 5 fucking seconds. That's like your number one victim. You're a victim of anti-white policing, cracking down on rightful free speech as a woman who said, burn down migrant hotels, and then people went and did it. And you're crying about this, and you're crying about that. You're a fucking retard. You're genuinely some of the most retarded, spineless, unprincipled people I've ever seen. Like, just a complete... sway the fucking degenerates that occupy this country right now. It's absolutely sickening. Absolute fucking filth.
People try to attack Nigel, try to attack our supporters and our members. So I take great issue with the notion that this is some great leap. The Prime Minister, if you think that this is such an outrageous thing, then you should ask yourself...
I will.
You should ask the Prime Minister directly why 11 of his cabinet ministers have all come out in a 48-hour period.
And I focused very clearly with Pat McFadden about the comments of David Lammy. I'm going to look up this obscure definition of terrorism, but essentially what you're saying by repeating that to me is... Not only do you say that you think the
stupid bitch pled guilty and got convicted. Wow, white people so oppressed. It's over for white people. Free speech is dead.
To wishes harm on Nigel Farage, you're basically saying you think he's a terrorist.
Here's what I think. There are millions of people in this country who, if anything was to happen to Nigel Farage, will hold the Prime Minister squarely responsible for his actions.
Well, thankfully, that's not happened. I don't believe, and nobody wishes that, and I think that's the point. Nobody wishes that to happen.
You can't truly know somebody's intent unless you are that person, or unless you've really had that conversation.
And that's what I'm asking you.
But what I'm telling you is, if I look at the preponderance of evidence of how somebody who is a human rights lawyer, who uses language extremely carefully, frankly, for most of the time, the language is literally put in front of him by a SPAD, and he reads from an auto cue because he doesn't even know what he believes. For
this is just like Biden,
one after the other inside a 24-hour period, using the most inflammatory political language I can remember in this country. I'm afraid my personal assessment of it is, yes, the Prime Minister has embarked, because he knows he cannot beat Nigel at the ballot box, he has embarked on a campaign to incite violence against him. That is my personal opinion.
You've just said you can't possibly guess what's in somebody's mind.
I said you can't truly know. I can absolutely have my opinion, and people watching this programme can form their own opinion.
And yet you're trying to claim you know what's in the Prime Minister's mind to quite an extraordinary degree.
Yeah. But when was the last time you saw a political leader with a real shot at Downing Street accused of this sort of language inside a 48-hour period from the government of the day? I defy you. Give me an example of that.
I'm not sure I have, but that's still an extraordinary...
So we're in unprecedented territory.
But that's a very different point.
We're in unprecedented territory.
That's a very,
he knows he's lying. Look at his face.
So
He literally knows he's being dishonest. You can see it in some of these fucking reform guys' faces so easily, man. It's just it just comes through. You see it in Farage, you see it in fucking Tice all the time. They're not even got good poker faces, and just like the dumbest fucking degenerates in this country will buy it anyway because they want to believe it because they fucking hate brown people.
To quite an extraordinary degree.
But when was the last time you saw such a... When was the last time you saw a political leader with a real shot at Downing Street accused of this sort of language inside a 48-hour period from the government?
Like, if you had any sense of shame whatsoever, you would feel totally embarrassed supporting this guy and anyone associated with him.
Give me an example of that.
I'm not sure I have, but that's still an extraordinary...
So we're in unprecedented territory.
But that's a very different point.
We're in unprecedented territory.
That's a very, very, very different point. To accusing the Prime Minister of wishing harm on an opponent and accusing the Prime Minister of being a terrorist.
If he didn't wish harm, then his actions are indistinguishable from somebody who did wish harm.
The vast majority...
And that is the fundamental point. What I care about is the safety of my friend.
That's not what you said.
What I care about is my friend.
That's not what you said. In a week where language is more important than ever, that is not what you said.
I have said... I've been very clear about what my opinion is. And my opinion is that Keir Starmer knows he cannot beat Nigel at the ballot box and therefore has taken it upon himself with his cabinet to embark on a campaign to incite violence against him.
I want to bring this back to the policy because this is where we started. And we spoke about some of this on Monday. You want to get rid of ILR, but you're still giving a route to citizenship after 7 years. But you made clear that those people, if they want to take British citizenship, have to renounce their other citizenships. On Monday, you clarified that would apply to some countries, but not others. If somebody wants to come here, go through all of the hoops, meet all of the requirements that you set out, they pay taxes, they speak English fluently, whatever else, to qualify.
Yeah, this policy is insane. Like, people are acting like, oh, Keir and Reform's policies are like basically the same. They're like so similar. How can Keir call theirs racist? Well, because theirs applies retroactively, first of all. They're stripping ILR and forcing everyone to reapply for visa. If you are given citizenship, you have to renounce the other country's citizenship in some cases. Only in some cases, though. So it's like, what are the... It's like they have some reason. I think he tries to lay it out here. But he says that, for Pakistan you'd have to, but for America you wouldn't, basically. I can only imagine Israel's going to be safe too.
And they come from America, then they're allowed to maintain their pride at being American and keep their American citizenship. But if they come from another country, you haven't named which ones yet, somewhere from Africa, one assumes, someone from Middle East, one assumes, they are not allowed to maintain their pride at where they came from and keep that citizenship. That is judging people surely not on merit, but on race.
That's not the case at all. Well, first of all, American isn't a race. That would be the first point to make. And
but if someone...
You know what the point's being made there. It's on ethnic background, because obviously American might not be an ethnicity, but obviously it's going to align with ethnic backgrounds, isn't it? Obviously. Obviously. You must know that. You must know what he's saying. It's like so fucking lame. America's not a race. You know what he's saying, retard. You know what he's fucking saying.
America was a race would be a surprise to most Americans. But let me be clear about something. Everything we have put in that policy, right, is about making sure that to the degree that there is legal migration in this country, that legal migration is in the interests of the British people. That is for the betterment of the way of life and the quality of life of British people. But if someone has met
every single requirement you set out on merit, they fully qualify to be a citizen.
Yeah.
If they're from America, they can have two citizenships and remain proud to be American as well as British. But if they're from somewhere else, they cannot.
Hold on. So again, you said language is important. So America does allow dual citizenships. Americans, if you want to become an American citizen, you do have to take an oath that specifically renounces. So when you talk about being dually prideful,
you can have both passports.
You can have both passports, but the Americans require you to take an oath that pledges allegiance to the stars and stripes.
It doesn't renounce the citizenship.
But you used specific language there. You said that they can be equally proud. That is not what the Americans allow. And what we're saying is we have to ensure that to the degree that there is legal migration in this country, it is in the interests of the British people. You know what's really interesting? All the questions that are always put to us about these policies, every single time.
But barely an answer. Like, no fucking satisfactory answer there whatsoever.
Of citizens of foreign countries.
What's the determiner? How do you determine which countries? How do you determine which countries? Why are you making those decisions?
I genuinely cannot remember, having done the media rounds now for the last few days, somebody putting me a question about the interests of the people watching this program who wake up, go to work, pay their taxes. Who's looking out for them? We've had decades now of governments in this country who seem to think that their primary responsibility is the welfare of foreign citizens. And I'm sorry, that is not the case. The government of the United Kingdom...
So yeah, it's crazy to say, oh, Keir's policy is similar. Keir's policy is similar. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not retroactive, and it's the same for everyone. It's not fucking delineating based on, oh, we don't like those countries, but we do like these countries. It's not the same at all. It's if you are an immigrant and you contribute and you're willing to be part of the society and learn English and support our values, protect our values, then you're allowed to stay. That's the Labour policy, which is like totally not racist. You could say it's almost like civic nationalist. You could argue it maybe leans like civnat, you could say. But that's not racism. That's not ethnat. It's not. It's about contribution. It's about participation. It's about the ideological values of the country. It's not about, you know, where are you from? Where are you from? What do you look like? It's not about that. What's your religion?
Their sworn oath is to look after the interests of British people. That is what our policy does.
I think it's sort of crazy to think that people will accept citizenship if they have to renounce a citizenship, and you're clearly judging different countries differently on that regard. I'm being told from all angles
but it's also,
that we're out of time.
One of the reasons we have to do that is
wrap.
because a lot of countries literally do not allow you. There's no mechanism to renounce citizenship. So that's another important point.
We are out of time. We always thank people coming on and being...
Wow. So, that's the Zia Yusuf interview. That was pretty bad. I've also got another video about Nigel Farage here. I think we might watch this too. Just because it goes over some of the claims that people are saying are bullshit about Farage, and they just aren't.
April 1964. Nigel Farage is born in Farnborough, Kent. He attends private prep school before enrolling at the fee-paying Dulwich College at the age of 10. 1978. The 14-year-old Farage joins the Conservative Party after seeing Margaret Thatcher's radical free market mentor, Keith Joseph, speak at the school. 1981. An English teacher at Dulwich College writes that a colleague who teaches Farage, quote, described his publicly professed racist and neo-fascist views, while another colleague recounted that, at a combined cadet force camp organised by the college, Farage and others had marched through a quiet Sussex village very late at night, shouting Hitler Youth songs.
Wow.
One Jewish pupil will later recall how Farage would sidle up to him and say Hitler was right, and gas them. Fellow pupil Nick Gordon-Brown remembers he looked like a middle-aged man when he was a sixth former. He was a very vocal National Front supporter. There was a Jewish
looked like
lad
a
at school
middle-aged man when he
horrible
was a
to.
sixth former. So good.
With Jewish schoolmates, he made no secret of his distaste for them. What you see now is what he was like then. Years later, when confronted with the allegations, Farage will give an awkward response.
Yes, of course, I said some ridiculous things that upset
Racist
them.
things.
Not necessarily racist things.
Not
but things.
necessarily racist.
Well, it depends how you define it.
Nice
Farage
one,
did
man.
not-
Wow, not great denial. Great denial. Nailed it. Nailed it, bro. Absolutely fucking perfect. Perfect. That's media training for you. That's media training. Great speaker, this guy.
Denies any involvement in far-right politics as a youth. His old headmaster recalled rudeness rather than racism. 1993, he becomes a founding member of UKIP. 1994, he runs for Parliament as the UKIP candidate in the Eastleigh by-election. Before the poll, he writes to former MP Enoch Powell, asking for his endorsement. Farage
cool.
has previously declared Powell his political hero and endorsed the basic principle of his notoriously racist Rivers of Blood speech, and even acted as his chauffeur.
This country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
So that's the guy. So Nigel Farage's political hero was claiming in 1994 that within 20 years, so 2014, the black man in the UK would have the whip hand over the white man. Did that happen? No, that didn't happen. Does Farage say this exact same stuff about Muslims now? Yeah, he does. Can pattern I know people love pattern recognition, especially people talk about Jews all the time. Love pattern recognition. Can we perhaps pattern recognition? Could that start to kick in? Could we potentially get that to start to kick in a little bit? How do we think this is heading this time? Surely not. Surely not the same way. Especially when there are such bright minds. Bright minds. Oh my god, my own voice. Fuck's sake. Shut up. There are such bright minds saying that this is coming this way. Where's the video? Where's the video? Here it is.
Wealthy suburb, this 84-year-old woman asked us not to show her face.
It looks like they're going to overspill us. We'll be the underdogs.
Who's they?
All them ones that's coming in, especially Muslims, they will be majority.
What's your evidence for that?
I don't have any.
Up the road in a well.
Powell rejects the advances of the 30-year-old Farage. In the by-election, he comes fourth. 1997. He runs as UKIP candidate in Salisbury at the general election, again coming fourth. The following month, he meets Mark Devon, a former UKIP activist who is now head of research at the neo-Nazi BNP, and the editor of Mindbenders, a supposed exposé of Jews in the media. Farage is seeking compromising information on UKIP leader Alan Sked in an effort to oust him. A photo shows Farage and Devon at the meeting, along with Tony Leckermer, a BNP member who served 3 years in prison for handling explosives in an attempt to bomb a left-wing group.
So, Farage literally hangs out with terrorists. And they want to pretend that Labour are, like, sending Antifa after them. This guy's literally been friends with, like, fucking far-right terrorists. It's fucking absurd. It's so absurd.
Leckermer was given another 3 years for stabbing a Jewish schoolteacher who had been trying to remove a BNP sticker on the Underground. 1999. Farage is elected to the European Parliament as MEP for South East England. He soon identifies how an unscrupulous MEP could abuse the expenses system in Brussels.
But if you used the secretarial allowances to pay your wife, on top of all the other games that you could play, I reckon this job in sterling terms is worth over £250,000 a year to you.
He will soon be putting his observations into practice as he becomes embroiled in a series of expenses scandals.
Dude.
2001. He runs as
Literally, just the most scamming fucking reptile going. He is the lowest of the low. And he's trying to pretend that it's unreasonable to call him the enemy of the people when he's been behaving like this his entire fucking career. Like, you're a fucking con man. You are actually a fucking con man.
UKIP candidate in Bexhill and Battle, coming fourth. 2005. He runs as UKIP candidate for South Thanet, coming fourth. 2006. He runs as UKIP candidate in the Bromley and Chislehurst by-election, coming third. 6 months later, he becomes leader of UKIP for the first time. April 2010.
UKIP MEP Nigel Farage admitted that he has taken £2 million of taxpayers' money and expenses, employs his wife to run his office, paid from his allowances, and is hoping to become an MP at the next election. Well, he certainly ticks all the boxes.
Do we get right a reply here?
Yes.
The money didn't go to me.
Wasn't it for your party and your offices?
Didn't go to me, it went to employees.
May 2010. At the general election, he stands in Buckingham, coming third behind a candidate championed by a dolphin. 2012, he advocates for the dismantling of the NHS.
And I think we're going to have to move to an insurance-based system of healthcare.
May 2013, he makes a speech
Literally wants to rape everything good about the country and has done for years.
To the European Council condemning tax avoidance and tax havens, citing the Channel Islands, the Caymans and the Isle of Man. June 2013, the Mirror reports that Farage opened an offshore trust fund on the Isle of Man to slash his tax bill. When reporters exposed the scheme, Farage describes it as a mistake, saying, things that we thought were absolutely fair practice 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago aren't anymore. September 2013. Reiterating his opposition to gay marriage, he says it would be profoundly illiberal. His defence of the sanctity of heterosexual matrimony does not, however, extend to his own marriage. In March 2014, The Telegraph reports that Farage employs his second wife, with whom he had an affair while previously married, on a salary of up to £20,000. using
Look at my
the EU
Christian leader.
parliamentary
Look at my
assistance
Christian
allowance,
leader. Look at my
while
Christian
also using the
values.
same allowance to pay a woman as a local assistant in the UKIP press office in London, with whom he's had more than a decade-long affair. Farage tells the media the claim of an affair is not true. In reality, he's lying. By now, he has appeared on the Kremlin-owned Russia Today TV channel 17 times between 2010 and 2014.
Oh, that's a convenient moment to take a look at something else that's a little bit relevant. So, a UKIP, what was it? It was like a leader in UKIP, for Welsh UKIP, just got done for taking a bribe from a Russian agent. So, is this? Hi, at Zia Yusuf. You said no one in the leadership of Reform Party UK knew who Nathan Gill, the Russian bribe-taking leader of Reform UK in Wales, was. How's this for you? So, let's see this.
But in particular, it's a big victory for Nathan Gill, our leader in Wales, an honest, decent, honourable man who's been loyal to me and the party at all times. Nathan, you've led UKIP Wales into this, and well done, you. But in particular...
And then there's this as well. What's this? A photo of Nigel Farage with the Russian agent who bribed him's wife. Interesting. Oh, that's a little bit interesting, isn't it? This is a patriot, by the way. Patriot, by the way. What's this other clip?
A bit about your life as an MP, because there have been some who've accused you of not spending enough time in Clacton. Do you think that's a fair accusation?
No.
How many times have you been to Clacton?
Just exchanged contracts on a house there. I'll be living there. Is that good?
A bit about
how much
your
time
life
does
as an
house?
MP, because there have been some who've...
Why is it playing it in the background too?
Not
Okay.
enough time in...
I don't think we care about it anyway. It's just about his house. We're spoken about the house. Anyway, yeah. So crazy smoke here. Crazy smoke with this Russian agent stuff. This guy is fucking glowing, dude. Farage glows like crazy.
Farage is clear about his admiration for the Russian president.
I was asked a couple of months ago, which world leader did I admire? And I said Vladimir Putin as an operator.
May 2014, by now Farage is joint leader of the group Europe of Freedom and Democracy, alongside Italian far-right leader Francesco Speroni of the Lega Nord party. Speroni has defended Anders Breivik, the Norwegian far-right terrorist who killed 77 people, including dozens of children, in an attack in 2011.
He described Anders Breivik as someone whose ideas are in defence of Western civilization.
No, he didn't, actually. He didn't. One of his members...
Young James.
Children
Younger.
In an attack in 2011.
He described Anders Breivik as someone whose ideas are in defence of Western civilization.
No, he didn't, actually. He didn't. One of his members did, and we kicked him out of the group.
No, you're thinking of Maria Borghesio, who went further and said in a radio interview that Breivik had some excellent ideas. But Speroni himself, who is your co-chair of this group, said that Breivik's ideas are in defence of Western civilization.
September 2014. Addressing the European Parliament in Strasbourg, he defends Putin against what he sees as attacks by the EU and NATO.
And you're supposed to take them seriously when they cry about violent rhetoric. You're supposed to take them seriously when they've been literally either palling around with terrorists, palling around or supporting people who support terrorists. Like, it's just the endless far-right terrorism loop. Domestic far-right terrorism. You're supposed to care about Corbyn shook a Hezbollah leader's hand or something 50 years ago. And you're supposed to care about that, but not care about Farage being pals with like every fucking far-right terrorist and far-right terrorist supporter going, supporting Hitler in his youth. Not necessarily being Hitler Youth, but supporting Hitler in his youth. Like this whole, this long list of just supporting violence, supporting extremism, supporting Russia. It's fucking absurd. It's like the guy, it is just true to say Farage hates his country. Farage will undermine his country for personal gain. Farage is fine for people, his own countrymen, to die if it means he gets his way politically. In fact, he might even, I wouldn't say he would support it, but I think a glib smile would go across his fat frog fucking face if there are a few bombs set off in like a Labour office or something.
NATO.
The unnecessary provocation of Vladimir Putin. If you poke the Russian bear with a stick, don't be surprised when he reacts.
May 2015, he runs as UKIP candidate in South Thanet, coming second. June 2016, With just days to go before the EU referendum, Farage unveils his now infamous Breaking Point poster. It immediately draws comparisons with...
So, literally, how insane... First of all, is the billboard. Insane anyway. But how insane is it looking at this, where it's trying to show a bunch of fucking brown people coming into the country, saying the EU's failed us all, and then leaving the EU, like, supercharges the amount of non-EU migration. It's like... And he doesn't suffer for this. And the fucking retards that support him don't see it's just the same shit happening again.
Point poster. It immediately draws comparisons with similar imagery used by the Nazis in Germany. Even prominent Brexiteer Michael Gove says he shuddered when he saw the poster. Leave wins the EU referendum. Farage resigns as UKIP leader. October 2016. He defends Donald Trump's obscene remarks about groping women.
You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy.
Farage downplays the comments, claiming men commonly use Trump's language.
It's the kind of thing, if we're being honest, that men do.
November 2016. He's less charitable about Barack Obama.
That Obama creature said, loathsome individual.
February 2017. Farage is endorsed for the job of Prime Minister by David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
March 2017. Farage appears on Russian state TV channel RT, where he's knighted by a 6-year-old girl, after which the little girl tells him,
"My mummy says you hate foreigners."
No, little girl. No.
September 2017. Farage is invited by the granddaughter of Adolf Hitler's finance minister to address the German far-right AfD party at an election rally. He receives a standing ovation. January 2018. Farage is docked half his monthly MEP salary after the European Parliament alleges he misspent public funds intended for staffing his office. May 2018. UKIP allied group, the Alliance for Direct Democracy, is told to repay €1.1 million to the European Parliament following an investigation into the alleged misspending of taxpayers' money, including on Farage's failed bid to become an MP in the 2015 UK general election. February 2019, Farage's new Brexit party is registered with the Electoral Commission. March 2019. He's photographed with notorious misogynist Andrew Tate, who was thrown off Big Brother.
Notorious misogynist and alleged rapist, numerous times alleged rapist, sex trafficker, Muslim groomer. Andrew Tate, yep. Islamic groomer, rapist, sex trafficker. Yeah, that one.
Footage emerged of him hitting a woman with a belt. Tate will later be arrested in Romania on suspicion of people trafficking. May 2019. It is reported that Farage has appeared on Alex Jones's far-right US talk show, InfoWars, at least 6 times.
No, not before anyone even cared. Farage was already known in the UK. He was on Big Brother back in the day. He was a kickboxer who was on Big Brother. And he was already known as being like a complete fucking loser psycho. There was like footage of him beating women around the time. It's like, he's been known for a minute. But just not worldwide. Not worldwide popular, you know?
Dating from 2009 to 2018. Numerous appearances came after Jones began a campaign of harassment against the parents of 5- and 6-year-old children killed in the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012. October 2020. With Trump seeking a second term as US president, Farage turns up at a rally in Arizona just days before the election to offer his unequivocal support.
This is the single most resilient and bravest person I have ever met in my life.
November 2020. The Brexit Party is renamed Reform UK. February 2022. He blames the EU and NATO for Putin's invasion of Ukraine, earning support from the Russian state TV channel RT. March 2022. He complains about the government sanctioning Russian oligarchs.
And my question was, where's the due process? But it's happened anyway, hasn't it?
June 2023. He claims his bank account has been cancelled because of serious political persecution. It soon transpires that man of the people Farage has his account with elite establishment bank Coutts, which counts the royal family amongst its clients. An internal Coutts report on Farage states, at best he is seen as xenophobic and pandering to racists, and at worst he is seen as xenophobic and racist. He is considered by many to be a disingenuous grifter. Fortunately for Farage, there is legislation protecting bank account holders from discrimination based on political beliefs, if indeed that's what's really happened. The law in question has been retained by the UK, but it was originally passed by the European Union.
Dude! What a banger way to end that video. Oh my god. What happened at the end of that? So, Nigel Farage settled the dispute of closure on the bank accounts. The settlement comes after almost 2 years after the reform. UK leader had his account with Coutts, prestigious private bank for the wealthy, which owned by NatWest Group, closed. The closure led to public row between Farage and the bank, which later admitted serious failings in its treatment of the politician. The fallout also led to the resignation of NatWest's chief executive, Dame Alison Rose. Terms and details of settlement remain confidential, so no further information has been released. NatWest Group and Nigel Farage PM are pleased to announce that they have resolved and settled the dispute, and the bank has apologised to Mr. Farage. A joint statement on behalf of the bank and Farage said on Wednesday. The dispute began in 2023 when Farage, a prominent Brexiteer, said Coutts planned to shut down his account and he had not been given a reason. BBC reported his account was being closed because he no longer met the wealth threshold for Coutts, citing a source familiar with the matter. However, the former UKIP leader later obtained a report from the bank which indicated his political views were also considered. NatWest's chief executive Dame Alison resigned in July 2023 after admitting she had made a mistake in speaking about Farage's relationship with the bank. A public debate also followed over people having their bank accounts shut due to their views. Okay. Farage said he was later refused personal and business accounts at 7 more banks in the UK. An independent report found NatWest failed to communicate its decision properly when it decided to shut Farage's Coutts account. The closure was lawful and based mainly on commercial reasons, the report said. So it was really due to his wealth. But they didn't communicate properly. Okay.
It's a bit early in the day, so all I've got actually is coffee, but I hope you enjoy a few pints with the lads tonight. Up the Ra!
Up the Ra, Nigel. I mean, I know that you said sorry. I know you get 87 quid. It's entirely within your rights to do that. But come on,
I know you get 87 quid. I did. Okay. If he'll do that for 87 quid, imagine what he'd do for a few million from Russia. Crazy.